So what first inspired you to start dancing?
So I was first inspired to start dancing from the age of 3. Um, I remember my mum asking me at the age of 3 if I wanted to do start ballet classes. My family was sort of very creative, so both my parents were art teachers and met at art school. My aunt is a professional Lindy Hop dancer, or was a professional Lindy Hop dancer, and so it's sort of the arts in general have always been in our family. And so from the age of 3, I went to ballet, and then that started as a hobby. Um, and for as long as I can remember, that's been uh, my hobby, and then went into my career. So I think I danced at the same dance school, doing your typical ballet, jazz, tap, and all the exams from the age of 3 till about 18. And then I went off to London and trained at Laban, where I did my contemporary dance degree.
Lovely. And how would you describe your teaching style with CDL and what makes it unique?
I would describe my teaching style with Creative Dance London as improvisation based, creative movement. But because I trained in contemporary dance, it has that sort of edge to it. So there's a little bit of moments where we bring in some technique that I sort of studied, but then it's really about getting to know the participants that join, and first and foremost making sure that they feel comfortable. And then as I get to know a group, I'll sort of ask them or encourage them to get more creative with their ideas and learning and movement. But really at first it's about getting them to feel comfortable with me and with each other, because it's a real community. So it's it's about having a certain style in terms of my teaching, but it's also about getting a community together that feel like a family.
And what are your favourite things about the CDL community?
My favourite things about the Creative Dance London community is how it's sort of changed and grown and got stronger throughout the years it started. So when it started many years ago, just as a small little group in Tottenham, and how it is now, which is now sort of accessible to anybody across the world, and that's because of Zoom. So that's a good thing to have come from the pandemic, really. And so the community for me feels really special. And there's some members that have been there a long time from the very beginning, which is lovely. And then there's members that are joining still to this day, and that is really great. And everybody is really welcoming, and they love to see new faces, and we love to see new faces. So it's just a really nice, relaxed approach to getting people to think creatively and move creatively.
And what would you say to someone who might feel nervous about trying dance improvisation for the first time?
If somebody was starting dance improvisation for the first time, or creative dance, I think it's really important to encourage them to feel as comfortable as possible at the beginning of the session, and to allow them to start at their own pace. And so everybody's different. Some people want to go straight into a theme or an emotion, and some people find that a bit harder, and that is fine. So I always make sure that at the beginning of my sessions I say to people, I'm just here to give you a few ideas, a few themes, a few emotions, and you can take as little or as much of that as you like. And so you can, if that's too much for you to think about all those things and to move, then it's sometimes okay and totally fine to just respond to the music and close your eyes, or even turn your camera off if it is on a Zoom session. That there's no pressure to have to be seen. Obviously, if you're in a studio setting, it's really just about understanding that there's no right or wrong way of doing improvisation, and that's the beauty of it. It's not like where you have to learn a routine and get it right or wrong. So some people go into it thinking they're going to be really exposed, and actually by the end of it they feel like they haven't been exposed at all. They feel like they've been very safe, because they can do the smallest of movements, and that still be valid.
That's really great. What does dance mean to you? What has it taught you or helped you work through?
I mean, as I said, dance to me has sort of begun from a very early age. So at first it was a hobby, and it was a really great social thing as a child for me, to go and have a hobby and see the same friends each week. And so I grew up with these people. And then for me, from probably the age of 16, maybe a bit before, it became more of then a passion and a sort of a desire to go and work in some form in dance. I wasn't sure what that was going to be. Now, having worked in the industry for many, many years and trained in all of these brilliant things, that all these opportunities I've had, for me now, what it does is give me the opportunity to give the tools that I have to people that have never experienced dance before. And so I think it's really valid for anybody that wants to be a part of it. And you don't have to have all this training, and you don't have to have been to London or all the big sort of places and ideas where people, it's just for me about giving people an opportunity, others, and exploring these little new creative avenues with people, and hearing their response at the end is, for me, brilliant. And dance for me does that for myself. So, you know, even if I'm in my bedroom just moving to some music, and I'm just give myself a moment to just reflect on what's happened in that day, and just let the moment take you, which sounds a bit cheesy, but I think it does work, especially if it's delivered in the right way. And I think that's what people get from Creative Dance London, that come along, is an opportunity to go on a journey through whatever's happened to them in that day or week or year, and express it in a different way than perhaps most people do.
And why do you think dance, art and creativity in general are important in society?
I think that dance and art are important in society, for many, many reasons, and there's an argument that could go on for forever. Personally, I think there's two angles, and I think there's the person creating art, and then there's the person receiving it, and that could be in any form. So that could be in dance, music, art, galleries, anything. I think it's hugely important to make art, to be seen. Again, it's another way of communicating feelings, thoughts, and ideas. It's important to be able to go and have the accessible to anybody, and those that are going to see it, I think it's for them to have a response, their own response, whether it's a positive or negative response. But also, I think, even just at its sort of most important level for me, so even at its grassroots level, so in schools and with younger people and with vulnerable people, it's an amazing effect. And I think it gives people in those situations a real opportunity to think creatively and respond to something in perhaps a way that been given a chance to before. And so I think for me, that's why it's so important, is what it gives people, and the opportunities it gives people, even if that doesn't, they don't have to then go off and do that, but it's something that they might experience for only 1 week or for 1 day at school or anything. So I think it's just really important what it can give, and especially what we've been through this past year. I think the art has become people's saviour. I think even though it's gone away in many forms, it's been there sort of in the background on Zoom, and people have just gone for it and tried to sort of seek out as much of it as possible. And I think it's had a real positive effect.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? Any projects that you're working on at the moment that you'd like to share?
No major projects at the moment, but Damn Fine Dance is a company that is part of Creative Dance London, a performing company, and we are soon to be looking for members to recruit for. It's an over 50s dance company that is a performing company that's going to be part of CDL. So look out for any details coming up soon about potential opportunities to join that group as a performing group. And we work as a collaborative group where we sort of make work with choreography and other choreographers for performance. So it's a really exciting company that we're looking for new members really soon.
Amazing.